good evening.
Good evening. I think it's going to be a very exciting night. You will be moved, I think. You will be entertained. You will be touched. Most of all, I think we're all going to feel very, very proud.
Here tonight on Ellis Island, as you can see, the speeches are just about to begin, and with the actual swearing-in ceremony just about an hour away, there's a tremendous feeling of anticipation here. As Peter said earlier, what's actually happening is that Ellis Island tonight becomes a federal court so that these immigrants can become full-fledged Americans.
There is that picture there, Barbara, of that man sitting holding the Statue of Liberty in his lap. I don't think there could be anything more dignified than that.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Yakov Smirnoff.
Thank you so much. It's great to be an American. I've been here 20 years and I'm still fascinated with this country, that only in America a little misunderstanding in the White House can create such a big scandal. Obviously, Monica Lewinsky misunderstood when the president asked her to debrief him. I bet you never looked at it that way. And no matter how big the scandal gets in the White House, the president's ratings are still climbing. They're at 67% approval rating. I don't know where they take those polls. Probably Hooters restaurant. They just questioned women around Washington and asked them who would want to have an affair with the president. And 82% of them said, never again. And to detract the attention from the Monica Lewinsky scandal, the president goes where? To Russia. There's a brilliant move right there, huh? Yeltsin's career is in the same shape as Clinton's career. They shouldn't have called it a summit, they should have called it a ditch. The both presidents embraced in a hug, and Yeltsin whispered something into Clinton's ear, and nobody knows what he said. Now, I speak Russian, so I could read his lips. He asked for Monica's phone number. And Hillary goes to Russia, and she gets a national television there. You might have seen it at CNN. And she gives advice to Russian women how to have successful marriage. She told them that they have a dog in the White House, Buddy, and they just neutered him. She felt sorry she didn't go with a family plan. She missed a 2-for-1 deal. You see, when 20 years ago I came to America, I didn't have that many possessions, but I possessed the power of perception. And this is how I could see things about this society that Americans don't even give a second glance. If you were to go to Russia, you would see things that I couldn't see there, because I grew up there. It was normal for me. I would stand in line for food 3.5 hours just to buy a tiny piece of meat and some stale buns. And here in America, I walked into a fast food place, and right away I got the same thing. I bet you never looked at it that way, huh? You wouldn't, because it became normal to you. You see, things that surround us on a daily basis, we don't notice. I mean, we don't notice our health until we lose it. We don't notice freedom until we lose it. We don't notice our remote control. Well, that's a total disaster there. But if think about this, we breathe every moment of the day and we don't notice it. Try not to breathe for 2-3 minutes. Don't do it now. I'm just thinking that things that we normally do become very normal, and we don't pay attention to that until something changes. For me, major thing changed when I came to America, so I noticed everything. Being an American airliner was incredible. I mean, they're so luxurious. They were showing a movie on the airplane, and something was funny in the movie. I started laughing. My laughter is a little different than American people laugh. Like in Russia, we were not allowed to laugh out, so we would laugh in. And it sounded real obnoxious, like, So I started laughing, and the oxygen mask came down. In Kennedy Airport, I wanted to go to a restaurant, and the waitress says to me, I recommend breakfast special. It's steak and eggs. I said, fine. She said, how do you like your steak? I said, you didn't even bring it yet. I bet you never looked at it that way. She said, how do you want it cooked? I said, oh, very crispy on the inside, very soft on the outside. She said, well, I guess there's more than one way to skin a cat. I said, I'll have tuna fish sandwich. Then she said to me, you want buffalo wings? I bet you never looked at it that way, huh? I'm thinking, no wonder buffaloes don't fly. And then I finished eating. She says, dessert? I said, no, I had a permission to leave. First time I went to a Chinese place, the guy who invited me there played practical joke on me. There was hot Chinese mustard on the table. He took a spoon of that mustard and ate it right in front of me. And tears are coming out of his eyes. I said, why are you crying? He said, I just remember when I was a little, friend of mine and I went swimming in the river and he drowned. And he insists that I take a bite of that mustard, which I did. Now tears are coming out of my eyes. My head is sweating. I look like Jimmy Swaggart at the confession. He said, why are you crying? I said, I feel badly that he drowned instead of you. First time I went to a fast food place, in the bathroom, there's a sign that says, baby changing station. So I'm thinking, if you don't like your baby, you get a new one right here. I bet you never looked at it that way. And you get French fries to go with that. My first job in America, I decided to be a waiter. I applied for a job, and the manager of this restaurant said, you want some coffee? I said, thank you very much. I don't drink coffee. Do you have any water? He said, oh yeah, plenty of water. I have water coming out of my ears. I said, I'll have coffee. He gave me a job. I was serving breakfast next morning. My first customer was a big guy. He looked like a truck driver. And he said to me, give me a couple of flat tires, a couple of headlights. I'm thinking, no wonder this guy's so big. I said, you want buffalo wings to go with it? I go in the kitchen, I tell it to the cook, he starts laughing. He said, no, he's just playing with you. What he wants is 2 pancakes and 2 eggs, sunny side up. I did not appreciate this customer confusing me any more than I was already confused. So I served him a bowl of beans. He said, I didn't order that. I said, I know, but I figured while you're waiting for your parts, you should gas up. He didn't look at it that way. So next morning I was looking for a job again, and then I got a job as a bartender, and one customer came in and he was not in a good mood, and he said to me, give me a very, very, very dry martini. So I gave him an empty glass with an olive. That's as dry as they come. He said, "You're new here, aren't you? Give me a screwdriver." Boy, he was mad. He said, "Don't you know anything? Screwdriver is the simplest drink in the world. It's vodka and orange juice. Go make it, don't you ever forget." I felt bad that he yelled at me, so I made him my own drink, which was vodka, orange juice, and milk of magnesia. I called it Phillips screwdriver. I don't think he'll ever forget it. So now I had a job and I got an apartment. My neighbor next door seems to be very nice. He said, "Listen, I just want to warn you, we live in a rough neighborhood, so you should keep your eyes peeled." I said, "I'd rather be mugged." He said, "Just in case, you should know we have a neighborhood watch." I said, "What does that mean?" He said, "If you get mugged, the whole neighborhood will watch." And then he told me he does not use deodorant. No matter what I ask him, he would say, "No sweat." One time he invites me to play basketball with him. I haven't played this game in years, so I got really sore. And I told him that I'm sore, and he patted me on the rear, and he said, "Have you considered being gay?" I bet he never looked at it that way. I said, "I'm not that sore. I can play another game. No sweat." Then I told him, I said, "I'd like to meet an American woman." He gave me a phone number of this girl. And I called her, and I was so nervous. And so many things that can be confusing, like the word "yep." In English means yes. In Russian, it means to be intimate. I'm not making this up. And so I'm saying to her, "Would you like to go on a date with me?" And she said, "Yep." I'm going, "What a country, all right." And then she said, "On a date, why don't you bring some California wine, Philadelphia cream cheese, and New York cheesecake?" By the time I got back from those places, she was already married. I'm sure by now you understand why this was happening. You see, when you change cultures, you become like a child. You had to learn to read, speak, customs, tradition. I'm sure if you were to go to Russia, you would experience the same culture shock. Would you agree? Yeah. You would have to, you become like a helpless child, except when you're an adult and you mess up, you need a lot bigger diapers. And I messed up a lot. But I also learned a lot. I learned some things I could not ever learn as a child, because when we're children, we're limited to a certain amount of learning. We're limited to learn how to walk and talk and feed ourselves. But we don't know yet how to reason. And by age 7, we already have 90% of beliefs that we inherit from our parents and the society that will run our life for the rest of our life before we can even reason. Can you imagine, 7 years old? I mean, and at that time, we can't even reason yet. I had very strong belief that all people live in communal apartments, because my parents and I were housed with 9 other families. And my mom and dad shared a bedroom till I was 26 years old. When I was a little kid and my parents would want to be intimate, they would send me to look out the window. And then my dad would say, "So what do you see in the window?" I said, "Our neighbors being intimate." He said, "How can you tell?" I said, "Because their son is looking at me." And I was the only child because we had only one window. And so when I came to America, I realized that people don't live like that. So I started examining all of my beliefs, and I realized that they're not very universal. They're subjective to the society that I grew up in. And those beliefs are basis for all our decisions in life. Wow. I mean, let me give you a little example. How many of you believe that toilet paper should be over? Applaud. And how many of you believe it should be under? Applaud. This is exactly how wars start. In Russia, we didn't have toilet paper. But people will fight for their beliefs. Will fight. I mean, literally, wars start this way. I mean, if the country, as a collective consciousness, has a belief about something, and the other country disagree or disagree with them, well, and they have armies, people die for beliefs. I mean, men and women will fight every day for beliefs that we got when we were little kids. Like, man will drive around lost for hours without asking for direction. Right? We have a strong belief that the earth is round, eventually we'll get there. Yeah, as long as we're making good time, don't get in our way. Well, let me give you a little secret, ladies. Men do stop and ask for directions when women are not in the car. You know why? Because we're embarrassed in front of you. We want you to believe we're strong and we know where we're going, even though we have no clue. But you see, we got it from our dad. He was embarrassed, and he didn't want to stop for directions. His dad did the same thing. I trace as far back as Moses. He was lost in the desert for 40 years. He'd be out of there in an hour if he'd asked for direction. He didn't even have a car. I'll give you another example. This is how deep it gets. When the child is conceived, there's a female egg that is stationary, right? And there are millions of those male things swim towards that egg, and only one makes it because no one wants to stop and ask for direction. I bet you never looked at it that way. You will now. Or ladies, you have this strong belief that you got from your mom or grandma that man should keep the toilet seat down. Why? We're not the ones who fall in. I bet you never looked at it that way. Gentlemen, when you hear that noise in the middle of the night, that's them trying to climb out. You see, on our beliefs, we base our decisions. That's what the foundation of all our decisions. And those beliefs we got when we were little. And I realized that, you know, it can be very, some beliefs could be very, very wonderful. They're happy beliefs, and I wouldn't recommend to change them for anything. Keep them, they're great. But then there are some beliefs that you continue to do what you were programmed to do, and you experience misery and happiness and pain. Those are the beliefs that you got to examine, and what you do with them, you kind of look at them and say, well, where did I get them? And why do I still want them? And just awareness of that puts you in control. You can change them. But you have to start looking at things from different perspective. For me, it was natural because I changed the perspective by coming to a new country. So I'll give you some examples that kind of perhaps encourage you to look at things a different way. I walked into a supermarket for the first time, and I saw a carton of dozen eggs, and I'm thinking, how do they make chickens sit that close together? I bet you never looked at it that way. Well, I was going for Express Line. It says 10 items or less, so I put 2 eggs back. I saw a jar that says gray poupon. I bet you never looked at that one. You will now. Why would you want to put it on anything? Lysol says kills odors. Took me 3 weeks to get rid of the rash from under my arm. Scented toilet paper? When do you supposed to smell that? I bet you never looked at it that way. I did it wrong for a long time. It smelled like gray poupon. What's that product, Nair? It says, get Nair for your hair. 7 weeks to grow it back. This guy is still using it, right, sir? Or diapers that you only change once a week. You've seen them when the package just holds up to 18 pounds. So what do you do when the diaper weighs more than a baby, huh? You gotta take him to the baby changing station, right? I'm glad I had a sense of humor. You see, my sense of humor, would get me in trouble in Russia a lot. I mean, in school especially, we had a teacher who was not very friendly. And one time she said to the class, "Anybody who's not smart, stand up." And I stood up. And she said, "Yakov, you're pretty smart." I said, "I know, but I didn't want you to be the only one standing." That wasn't very smart, I'll tell you that. You can probably imagine, ladies and gentlemen, that I did not know much about country and Western lifestyle. I remember when I went to Texas for the first time, and I asked somebody there, I said, "Where do Russians hang out here?" And they said, "On that tree, boy." And when I came to Branson, I had to change a lot of things. I changed my middle name to Bubba. I've been learning English now for 20 years, and now I moved to the Ozarks. I had to start all over again. You know who volunteered to teach me English? Soji Tabuchi. And he learned from Mel Tillis. I even wrote a country song. This is a song about me coming to America and now living in the Ozarks, and I call this song From Red to Redneck. I lived in Russia many years, not looking to go back. But they say to stay in Branson, I'd have to be a redneck. Now, first thing that I noticed, rednecks really are sincere. They check your hearing all the time. They say, "Y'all come back, you hear?" Red to redneck. There was no easy way for a Russian guy to learn to say, "Whippy-a-yo-ka-yay." They say just keep it simple and things will all work out. That's okay for country folks, but I still had my doubt. Now rednecks, they ride horses, the dictionary said. I rode a horse, and I tell you now, it's not my neck that's red. The stallion that I was on tried to throw me off with spores. The man from Walmart saved my life when he unplugged the horse. Red to redneck. It's so tough the way I talk. I bought new boots and skin-tight jeans. Heck, now I can hardly walk. They say just keep it simple and things will all work out. That's okay for country folks, but I still had my doubts. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to share with you a little bit of my Russian heritage. We brought a dance ensemble from Russia that I think is spectacular. I'd like you to meet them. Please put your hands together for Russian dance ensemble Viva! I call him Boris Yeltsin because he drinks a lot. And the boots that I've been wearing make the redneck from a foreigner. So now I can squeeze a cockroach in almost any corner. From red to redneck. I never been a snob. I didn't have toilet paper. Now I'm using acorn cob. They say just keep it simple and things will all work out. That's okay for country folks, but I still had my doubt. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like you to enjoy Russian dancers Western style. Country life, he treats me right, made a good old boy of me. And every night I kiss my wife and tuck my kids in bed. And I thank God that I'm a redneck and no longer red. This is not a good time. No offense, Boris, but I need more horsepower. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. When you have your own theater, you can pretty much park anywhere you want to. This car is a Ferrari. Yeah, I don't drive this car in the street anymore. I just go from over here to over here. It gets great gas mileage. But the reason I bring this car out, not just to drive on stage, but to drive home a point, that this is what I thought American dream was, owning a foreign car. And now I bought an American car. I'm driving a Ford. You bet. Took me a while to go from a Ferrari to a Ford because I had a very strong belief that if I own expensive things, I'll be happy. And the more expensive things will be, the happier I'll be. And I know where I got this belief. I was a teenager, and I would ask my dad for car keys. Every Saturday night, he would tell me, please don't lose them, because someday we might have a car. And my dad tried to buy a car. He took me to a car lot, and the official told him, put your name on the list and come back in 20 years. My dad said, do I come back in the morning or in the afternoon? The official said, what's the difference? 20 years from now. My dad said, the plumber is scheduled to come that morning. So you can imagine, I could not wait to come to America. I couldn't wait to get in the freeway. I was changing lanes and weaving in and out of traffic. And then policemen stopped me and said, you need a car. So I bought a car, and I drove from New York to Los Angeles to pursue fame and fortune. And I was trying to, I think, if I'm rich, I'll be happy. And even the road signs were encouraging me. They were saying, ride on, red. I bet you never looked at it that way, huh? So I get to Hollywood. Right away, I became pretty successful. I started working at the Comedy Store in Los Angeles. This is a place where people like Robin Williams, David Letterman, Billy Crystal, all those guys were working there at that time. David Letterman helped me to fill out my citizenship application. It was for Iraq. And then I made movies. I made a movie with Meryl Streep, Jack Nicholson, Tom Hanks, Robin Williams. And I'm proud to say, ladies and gentlemen, after working with me, all of those actors won an Oscar. And I got Oscar Mayer winner. But I'd like to show you a little clip from a movie that I made with Meryl Streep and Jack Nicholson. This is a movie where I'm playing a Hungarian general contractor named Laszlo. And the movie is called Heartburn. Here it is.
It's just that there's no door to the kitchen.
The back door.
Oh, the back door. Yes. It's true. You can get into the kitchen through the back door. We know is a kitchen. But you can't get inside the house from in the kitchen!
For God's sake. Laszlo, we thought that you could put a door here.
She's a piece of cake. He's a piece of cake.
It's a piece of cake.
You are Hungarian.
No, you are Hungarian.
Yes.
Yes. Hungarians don't have pronouns.
Apparently they don't have doors either. She's very angry at me.
He is very angry at you, yes.
Why aren't you very
It's
angry
only
at
a
me?
door, honey.
It will be extra, yes?
So here I was in Hollywood working with great actors. I had a great car, great house, but I wasn't feeling great. Actually, I felt pretty lousy because I felt that I achieved the American dream and I wasn't feeling happy. And none of that material success was fulfilling to me. And fortunately for me, something was about to happen that will forever change my perception of happiness. I was about to be sworn in as an American citizen. And the ceremony was taking place on Ellis Island, and I was representing the whole state of California, which made me feel like Miss America. But a lot of guys in California feel that way. And after the ceremony was over, they announced over the PA system, the last ferry is leaving. I said, let him go. I got stuck on the island. And it was a long night ahead of me. I figured I'll just picture what can make me happy. And I know that this works, ladies and gentlemen. When you visualize something and you visualize it clearly, you can have it. No matter what it is. It's like a pilot chartering a course. If you have a clear course, you'll end up where you want to go. And that night, you know, I couldn't picture anything. And I knew that it works because I'm in America, because I pictured for years being here, and here I am. I pictured driving that Ferrari, and I owned it. I wish I didn't picture that root canal. But whatever you picture is going to happen. That night, I was drawing a blank. And then in the middle of the night, I figured it out, that what makes me happy has nothing to do with money or having things. What makes me happy is when I'm in the room with somebody that I care about, and I'm giving part of myself to that other person. Yep. I bet you never looked at it that way, huh? But what happened, something very profound came to me, that every human being has the best gift in the world in our possession. We have it. But to experience it, we have to give it to someone else. And you'll be surprised how simple the best gift in the world is. It's called time. But the challenge is that you cannot give to somebody past because it's already gone. And you cannot give to somebody future because it's not here yet. And the only time that you can give and experience happiness is right now. That's why we call it the present. Well, another gift that I happen to have, I see ironic things about this society on a consistent basis. So we put together a segment of the show that features those idiosyncrasies, and this segment we call Only in America. Only in America would the scientists create a pill that will help man to say yep. Now we just need a pill that will help President Clinton say nope. Only in America can pizza get to your house faster than the ambulance can. Only in America can you see people eat double cheeseburger, chicken McNuggets, extra large fry, and then order Diet Coke. Only in America can newlyweds tie tin cans to their car with a string. In Arkansas, it's called owning a cellular phone. Only in America do banks keep the vault door open and chain down a pin. Only in America do people keep cars for thousands of dollars on the driveway and boxes of useless junk in the garage. Only in America can you buy fried pork rinds right next door to the liposuction clinic. Only in America can there be handicap parking outside a skating rink. Only in America can you call psychic hotline and they ask you Visa or MasterCard. It's a psychic hotline. If they don't know, hang up. Only in America do people put locks and gates on their homes to protect themselves, and on the weekend they go camping and sleep in a tent protected just by a zipper. Only in America people have indoor bathrooms, but to make them smell good, you have to spray them with an outdoor scent. Only in America do people have answering machines so they can screen their calls and then call waiting so they're sure not to miss the phone call from somebody they don't want to talk to in the first place. Only in America do they sell hot dogs in a pack of 10 and hot dog buns. You have looked at it that way, huh? Only in America do women put on makeup, wear false eyelashes, get facelift, liposuction, tummy tuck, and then tell the guy who hits on them, get real. Only in America do they now have special bras that are filled with water to make women look bigger on top. It brings the whole new meaning to a phrase, my cup runneth over. Only in America would John Wayne Bobbitt become a minister. He is now marrying people in Las Vegas. Can you imagine being married by John Wayne Bobbitt? Isn't it like getting a flu shot from Dr. Kevorkian? Only in America can you go to church and you hear stand up for Jesus. And then you go to a ball game and you hear, for Christ's sake, sit down. Only in America can Bill Clinton build a bridge into a 21st century. I think it's going to be a toll bridge and we're all gonna pay. And that's the way I see it. Only in America, still the greatest nation on earth. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. I love learning about this country. I finally figured out what the word politics means. Poly in Latin means many, and ticks means blood-sucking creature. I bet you never looked at it that way, huh? I also love learning about relationships between men and women. I find people fascinating, period. I mean, they're just incredible. We have neighbors who've been married 56 years, and they seem so happy. And I asked them, I said, what is your secret? And they said, we go to bed with the chickens. So we don't visit them anymore. Their last name is Tyson. I talked to another couple here in the theater. They were married 60 years. And I said, what is your secret? They said, well, we're still hot and heavy in the bedroom. He's hot and I'm heavy. And then I talked to one more couple. They've been married 72 and a half years. I don't know anybody who's been married that long. They were still holding hands because they were afraid to fall down. And the gentleman, I asked him, I said, what is your secret? He said, when we got married, we made an agreement. I'm not going to run her life, and I'm not going to run my life. I bet you never looked at it that way. But when you talk to these people at Link, you realize that they have all very common qualities that make their marriage successful. They all say the same thing. They say, we give to one another love, compassion, understanding, and time without asking for anything in return. It's not easy to do because we're so used to making deals. I'll do this for you if you do this for me. I'll give you this if you give me that. I'll show you mine if you show me yours. That became Bill Clinton's campaign slogan. Yep. But these people figured out the secret. It's not that, it seems to them, it's not that difficult. They say we give all the time. We enjoy giving. Not once a year, not twice a year. We give moment by moment. And we enjoy that process. We don't care if we get something back. Actually, we would prefer not. Because when we expect something in return, we might be disappointed. And this is a truth in anything in life. You cannot be disappointed unless you expect something. How many times, ladies, you heard this on your anniversary? Honey, close your eyes. And you're expecting diamond ring. And you open your eyes and it's a trash can on wheels. And you want to put them right into that trash can, right? I know, I've been in there. One of the best gifts that I know is the gift of music and dancing. I would like to give you that gift right now. Ladies and gentlemen, please enjoy one more time Russian dance ensemble, Niva. I want to thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for being here so I can share with you some of the gifts that God gave me. I love doing this. America has shared so much with me and my parents when we arrived here. And I'm always touched by the kindness that Americans show to us, and also show to one another without asking for anything in return. That is something I never experienced in Russia. It might sound strange to you, because kindness is just part of American culture. It's like freedom. You have it. You don't even have to think about it. But it wasn't like that where I grew up. I remember when I was a kid, my parents told me a story about two communists that were talking to one another. And one said, "Let me ask you, if you had two houses, would you give me one?" And the other said, "Of course, you're my fellow communist. Of course I give you one." "If you had two cars, would you give me one?" "Yeah, why even asking? That's what we're supposed to do, share things. Of course I give you one." "If you had two chickens, would you give me one?" "No." "Why not?" "Well, I have two chickens." Now, this is just a story, but in a way, it represents the mindset of Russian people. And I don't want to make it sound like Russian people are not kind. They're very, very kind. It's just life there was so hard. From the day you're born to the day you die, you're fighting to survive, just to find food for yourself, warm clothing for yourself, all the necessities of life for yourself. It was like that for my grandparents, for my parents. So there was no one to teach me a wonderful feeling that you get when you're helping other people. And I learned that lesson first time when I came to America. I got off the plane and I saw my name written, big letters, "America loves Smyrna." And I said to myself, what a country, all right. And we had a lot of hopes and dreams, my parents and I, but very little money and possessions. And we had to find an apartment. So I started looking around neighborhoods of New York that were run down. And I would ask managers in Russian, "У вас есть квартира? У вас есть квартира?" which means, "Do you have an apartment?" But I didn't speak English, and they would say, "No comprende, no comprende." Because they didn't speak English either. So I thought no comprende means no apartment. And then I go to another building where the manager was a big guy, and I said, "Comprende?" And he said, "Yep." I said, "Nope." That's not the building I want to live in. So eventually we found a tiny place. It was the smallest apartment that we could find. It was the cheapest one we could find. It was still $240 for the first month's rent. And my parents and I only had $50. And this is when I first experienced the kindness of Americans for a 79-year-old woman named Mrs. Landau. She was the manager of that building. And I guess she saw how tired and afraid we were in our new country. She did something I'll never forget. She let us have that apartment anyway. Later I found out Mrs. Landau barely had money for herself, paid the difference out of her own pocket, and gave us our first home in America. And I asked her, I said, "Why did you do that?" She said, 80 years ago, my parents came to America. They had nothing, and someone helped them. I guess that's what we do here. We help others less fortunate. And she told the tenants of that building that we just arrived and we could use some help. This was 20 years ago. In my mind, that night is as clear as it happened last night. We're sitting in our suitcase, and my dad is looking at the skyline of New York, and he said to me, "Son, look out the window." And my mom said, "Not tonight, I have a headache." And we hear the knock on the door. And at first we got scared because it could have been the KGB, or even worse, encyclopedia salesman. So very timidly I opened the door, and my heart overwhelmed with joy because I saw Mrs. Landau standing there smiling, just like that. And behind her, if you can imagine, the whole hallway and the stairway going up and down was packed with the tenants of that building, and they were holding things in their hands. And I opened the door, and Mrs. Landau said, "I'd like you to meet your neighbors." And these kind people kept rushing into our apartment and handing us things, gifts. I never met these people before. They were giving us food, furniture, clothing, pillows, blankets, dishes, things we did not have and desperately needed. And all they were saying was, "Welcome home." And I looked at my parents. They had tears in their eyes. I had tears in my eyes. I never felt this before. So I'm thinking, this is what it probably feels like to be an American. And these people gave us some things we didn't even know what they were, like a waffle iron. I didn't know what it was. My mom didn't know what it was. She ruined 4 pairs of my pants. They gave us our first real American breakfast: English muffin, French toast, Canadian bacon. and Belgian waffle. They also gave us bodybuilding shampoo. I bet you never looked at it that way. I drank 2 bottles. Thank God for that scented toilet paper. But the reason I bring this up, ladies and gentlemen, in the end of my show is because lately on television I've been hearing a lot how America is not as kind as it was and how people don't care for one another anymore. And I think it might be happening because we see it on television and we hear it on the radio, we read it in the papers. And when you're told something over and over again, you start to believe it. It's like in Russia, we believed in communism. 270 million people believed in communism because they would not let us say anything else. There's a big difference between that country and this country. Here we have the freedom. We can see what we want to see. We just have to want to see it. And sometimes the question is, if I'm all by myself, can I make a difference? Well, for me, the answer is in the word American. There are 4 letters in the end of that word that say, I can. And I believe that. I also believe that we see what we seek. If we seek something bad, it's very easy to find. Just turn on Jerry Springer's show. But if you seek something pure and wholesome, try to find it. It's not that easy. The media doesn't want to bring it to us. There's no ratings for them in that. So they're not going to show you a story about a policeman who uses his lunch hour to go and donate blood. They don't have time to show you a high school football coach who says to his kids, don't worry, you may be small, but you're slow. And yet he hosts a large pizza party for the whole team out of his own money after every game, win or lose. They will spend the whole newscast on a shocking kidnapping, but will neglect to show you inner string of dozens of people who fan out for frozen fields, trudging through the snow day and night looking for that little girl that they never met before. But love as much as they love their daughter or granddaughter that they safely have at home. They won't show you a fireman who can fight his way through a blazing building without flinching, but cannot fight back tears when he is holding in his arms a lifeless body of a small child on a smoke-darkened day in April in Oklahoma City. And for sure, they're not going to show you a smiling face of Mrs. Landau saying to me, I'd like you to meet your neighbors. I believe it's up to you and me to see those people and point them out to everyone else so it can inspire everyone else, because every day in every little town or a big city, starting with that sweet angel, Mrs. Landau, to the person who is sitting next to right now, Americans say we care in the silent ways that speak louder than any voice ever could. Do you know why? You speak with your hearts. That kindness in your heart does not need an interpreter. Mrs. Landau didn't have to speak a word of Russian. I understood exactly what I needed to know about this country. There was another lady who opened her arms to me when I came to America, and I wrote a song about her. I'd like to share this song with you. This lady totally changed my life, and this is my way of saying thank you. I looked for you around the world and kept your image in my mind. Where I come from, your picture on my wall, they were considering a crime. But I knew that one day we'd be together, and you hear me say, sweet lady, liberty. I found you and here I'll stay forevermore, forevermore, I pray. like in a dream. You welcome me, not even caring where I'm from. You said, give me you're tired, you're hungry, and you're poor. I knew I found my home, sweet home. Only now I realize what the future holds for me, looking up in your eyes. Sweet lady, liberty, you are the voice of freedom for me. I found you and here I'll stay forevermore, forevermore, I pray. Ladies and gentlemen, being sworn in as an American citizen at the Statue of Liberty ceremonies was the best moment of my life. Late Chief Justice Warren Burger was swearing us in, and he said, "My fellow Americans." For the first time in my life, I'm realizing he's talking to me, and first thought from my mind as a new American was, I don't like those foreigners. They come here and take our job. That moment I knew I was an American. I found you and here I'll stay forevermore, forevermore, I pray. Sweet lady, liberty, you are the voice of freedom for me. I found you and here I'll stay forevermore, forevermore, I pray. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. What a country, yes! I found you and here I'll stay forevermore, forevermore, I pray. Sweet day.